longer time today. So we are extremely sorry, and there was some confusion with regard to the timetable. Okay. So hi Kunal, how are you now? Kunal, have you recovered completely? Okay. So we have missed Kunal for a few days. He was suffering from corona. So all of you should take care of your health is very important. Okay. So with regard to the test, those who have joined today, so for them, we are going to have a sectional test on the Friday of this week. So you can prepare, and those who have not attended the class, so you can attend the test at later stage. So you don't have to worry for for the test. Those who have missed out, you can reach out to me through the mail, and you can go through this recorded lectures, and once you are done with the topics, then you can attempt the test. Okay. So actually there was some problem with the from the system itself. I was trying from here. Okay, it got corrected. Yeah, thanks everyone. So yesterday we were discussing about fundamental duties. So do you think fundamental duties are important? So do we be told about our fundamental duties, or we can just just like DPSP, we have tried to understand the importance of DPSP. Okay. So what are the importance, what are the important fundamental duties? So I think we can begin with because nowadays many times you may get the question directly on the fundamental right, which of the following are the part of fundamental duties. Okay, so just like fundamental rights, they will, in the fundamental rights, the questions are normally with respect to the understanding the concept of fundamental right, various provisions which are there, various restrictions which are imposed on fundamental rights. But with regard to the fundamental duties, you may get a question which of the following are not the part of the fundamental duties. You may the general duties can also be given. Okay, so what are the important fundamental duties which every Indian citizen should obey? Yeah, what can you recall some of the fundamental duties? Yeah, can we have a small list of fundamental duties? Okay, respect constitution. Others should bring out some of the fundamental duties that we have started discussing in yesterday's class. So what are important fundamental duties? Okay, so everyone should write at least one fundamental duty. Whether, let us see if you can recall, if you think there are some important duties which, if it is part of constitution or not, we'll see that. Okay, yeah. Very good. So some of the points, everyone should write at least one fundamental duty. It is also fundamental for us to remember our duties. We are aware now. I think most of us have went through all the aspect of fundamental rights. Now we should also be aware of our fundamental duties. It must be on your tips, so that being a responsible citizen of this country, you are able to perform those tasks. Okay, yeah. So I think many of you are able to bring out very good points. Yeah. So let us take some of those points, like the respecting the constitution. Respecting of the constitution doesn't mean that we are respecting the book itself. No, we are respecting the provisions of the constitution. We are trying to imbibe constitutionalism in the country. We are trying to follow the rule of law. We have seen in the rule of law there were three elements. One was with regard to the supremacy of law, equality before law, or source of power, that was through the constitution, that gives all the powers to all the authorities and empower the citizen also. So basically, respecting the constitution means respecting all the idols, all the organs which are created by the constitution. For example, legislature, executive, and judiciary. Though there are many problems with regard to all the we have read about all the aspect of system of government. In the system of government, we have tried to understand legislature, executive, and judiciary. We have seen there are a lot of problem with regard to the working of legislature, judiciary, or executive. But still we have to try to find out the solution, not to disrespect the organs which are created by the constitution. tomorrow all of you are going to become civil servant. You will become the topmost civil servant of the country. You will become IAS officer, you will become district magistrate, IPS officers, foreign service officers. So first of all, it will become very important part of your life, that you are respecting all the government institutions, all the public agencies or public institutions. That means you are respecting the various organs which are created by the constitution, various ideals, principles of constitution, various provision which are given in the constitution. That means we are trying to imbibe constitutionalism in the country. What do we mean by constitutionalism? That is another type of question. That means obeying, implementing the constitution, because it is very easy to make the constitution. If you try to understand the making of constitution, it was even one US President Woodrow Wilson has talked about making of the constitution. That means it is very easy to make the constitution, but very difficult to implement it. Similarly, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar also talked about the importance of constitution. He has talked that कितनी भी अच्छी तरीके से हमने अगर constitution बना दिया, लेकिन जो उसको लागू करेगा, है ना, जो उसको implement करेगा, it all depends on them. है ना, उन्होंने बोला, if tomorrow the system fail, don't blame the constitution makers, because constitution makers, they can just give the provisions and provide various mechanisms to run the affairs of the state. But ultimately it depends on the intention, the motives, the objectives, and the belief system of those who are implementing the constitution. Okay, that means tomorrow all of you are going to become civil servant. So do you have the understanding of the constitution? Do you understand each aspect of constitution very well or not? So that is the first aspect, understanding the constitution. Then you have to implement those provisions, those ideals which are there in constitution. For example, we have read in DPSP, the directive principles which are given in the constitution. Those must be reflected into our action, into our policies, into various laws that the government makes. See, since most of the topics now we have covered now, so you can also go for macro analysis. Now you can analyze the system of government from all the perspective, from the constitutional provisions, various constitutional provision that we have read. Now we will also touch upon some of the aspect with regard to the center-state relation or kind of nature of federalism we have in the country, though we have discussed already in the initial classes, but still for the benefit of those who have joined us later, we'll try to revise it. Parliamentary system, presidential system, the federal feature of unique federal features which are there in the country, and the center-state relation that exists with regard to various legislative power, executive power, and other aspect of administration. Okay, so we'll try to look at all those provisions again. So until unless we all the civil servant, all those bureaucrats who are going to serve, or who are going to become part of the state, tomorrow you will become part of the state. People will come to you and ask about the violation of their, they will ask you to protect their fundamental rights. So first you should be able to understand what are those fundamental rights. Does it really any action of the police authority or any organ of the state is violating any of the fundamental rights of the citizen? You have to be concerned about the environment, various fundamental duties which are listed in the constitution, or the various positive obligations that are there in the constitution, like in the DPSP, directive principles of state policies. So again, those are important aspects we have to understand. We have to also make it part of our life. Now from what you have to make it part of your life, that you are able to recall all the fundamental duties and fundamental rights and DPSP. They should be reflected into your statement, that should also get reflected into your debates. Normally we have during the preparation, lot of debate also takes place, lot of discussion takes place. So you should be able to put forward a constitutional answer, a constitutional perspective to any issue which is happening in the society. For example, currently pandemic is going on. So what are the fundamental duties of the citizen? Should we create havoc, or should we spread misinformation, or do you think should we involve in the spreading misinformation, just accusing the government, not playing our part? So I think that will not be justified. Okay, that means we should be conscious of our duties. What are the important duties that we as a citizen have to perform? That's why this topic, though it can be used at even in the ethics paper. You can use it very rightly. You can use it in environment, you can use it in the governance sector, you can use it in the essays and interviews. And many times questions are also directly asked in the prelims also. Okay, so what you have to understand the various aspect of fundamental. What are fundamental? They are fundamental in the governance, whether fundamental rights from DPSP or fundamental duties. Okay, yeah. So yes, during emergency, people have also revolted against the tyranny of the state. People have also come to protect, or protect the sanctity of the constitution if there was misuse of authority. So for example, if there is corruption in the society, so now we as a citizen also have the that duty to raise the mishappening or misuse of fund, misappropriation of fund. That's why many of the civil servant, if you read the case study of the Indian administration, you will see how many civil servants, they are able to raise the voices and make correction in the system if there is any misuse of fund. So they are also referred as whistleblower, है ना, whistle को blow करना अगर system के अंदर कोई problem होता है. You might have also heard of civil services activism, है ना. There is another topic in the governance topic, that is role of civil services, civil servant in democracy. How the civil servant, you as a bureaucrat, can strengthen the democracy in the country. How you can protect the fundamental rights, and you can also make the citizen conscious of the fundamental duties. For example, you as a district magistrate start performing all your fundamental duties. You start creating awareness about the fundamental rights, DPSP or duties. So you are able, for example, DPSP, many of the value system that are there in DPSP, you start asking your subordinate, all these lower rank officers, to imbibe those qualities, and that is also reflective of your leadership qualities. So you can use all these instruments in the administration once you join the civil services. Okay, so respecting constitution, very important, and it has vast meaning, it has very wider meaning. Okay, and we should also respect the national flag and national anthem, because they carries a lot of emotions, lot of sacrifice that freedom fighters have done, and the entire freedom struggle. If you read modern history, you see how so many Indians have sacrificed their life to get the independence. So obviously we should respect their idols, their values, the institutions which are created at that point of time. Okay, so very good. Then preserving the natural environment. Nowadays we are talking of sustainable development. So is it possible to go for have sustainable development without protecting the environment, without ensuring there is protection of environment, air, water, or soil degradation? So everything is now, it is you see a lot of degradation of environment. And we have also the Brundtland Commission report in 1970s that talked about sustainable development. That means we should not be very selfish. We should not be just concerned about our own well-being. We should not just use the natural resources for just our own benefit. We should also think for our upcoming future generation. Okay, so that is why it becomes very important that we go for sustainable development, protecting the natural environment. Okay, so climate change is again becoming very important issue of important concerns to the citizen across the globe. Many islands, they will be submerged, where those people will go. That is another the situations which are going to be created. And हम लोग शुरू से Indian culture में हम लोग शुरू से देखते हैं कि we always respect nature, we always have a harmonious relationship with the nature. So that is part of protecting the natural environment. You can use them in the environment also. This is also fundamental duty. You can quote the article also if required. And then if for protecting the environment, we have seen so many national parks, wildlife sanctuary, and then wetlands. So multiple mechanisms have been evolved, multiple laws have also been passed: Wildlife Protection Act, Environment Protection Act, air, water, with regard to everything. So we are also becoming part of international effort to fight the environment. Okay, in the Paris climate deal we are part of it. And then we have also been involving multiple mechanisms of protecting the environment. Okay, we are also going for more and more renewable energy. So I think all of you might be reading all these aspects of fundamental duties. They are reflective of fundamental duties, not just the duty of individual, but it becomes the national duty to protect the environment. And then promoting brotherhood, very good. That means if you talk of creating, if there is any disharmony in the society, what will happen? Everything will be disturbed. Everybody will be disturbed. If there is any disturbance to the peace and harmony, if the people if you are trying to create enmity between the citizen, so they are the enemy of the society. They are not just the enemy of that individual in the name of religion, in the name of caste, in the name of culture, language. If there are some element of in the society who are trying to create disharmony in the society, they are dangerous to the society. They are actually the anti-nationals if you consider in the real sense. They are threat to the society. So again, those fringe element, radical element who are trying to disrupt the normal functioning of the society. So it becomes our fundamental duty to promote harmony in the society, to promote brotherhood in the society. There should be harmonious relationship, respect to the composite culture in the society, because we are living in a country where such a diverse country, multicultural, heterogeneous society. So if there is if there is this enmity between different sections, the country will be destroyed. We will not have the idea of India. That means we also say that India is in making, that nation is in making. So we have we have lot of responsibility ahead to build a stronger society or build a composite culture. So they are they are reflective of our ancient value system, composite cultures that has been there for the thousands of centuries. So we have been living together very peacefully and harmoniously. And in the contemporary time, you have seen how the Britishers, they have used the divide and rule policy to create enmity between different communal groups. And they have appeased some of the fringe element, radical element in every religion. So there are there are fringe element in almost every religion. So we should be very careful. We should be able to filter out the debate, whether the debate or the argument which are being proposed, whether it has constitutional basis or not. Being the student of polity and governance, being the civil servant aspirant, or once you become the civil servant, so you should be able to assess any kind of activity or any kind of a statement which are made by the any political leaders or any thinker from the neutral perspective. You should try to develop a constitutional perspective, and that is very important. Okay, constitutional perspective means you are able to assess the meaning of the statement, essence of the statement, or the decisions which are made by the government. Okay, so that becomes very important, and that is also through these fundamental duties, DPSP, or fundamental rights, which are very important part of Indian Constitution. Okay, so then with regard to the yes, anyone would like to add any point, please, you are always welcome to go and add on. Okay, then with regard to the respecting all the idols, defending the country. For example, currently there is pandemic in the country, and government want that the MBBS final year student, they should come and join the fight against the corona. They should become the corona warrior. They should become part of frontline workers. So if the MBBS student, if they refuse to be part of it, what will happen? They are violating the fundamental duties. That means it is also becomes responsibility, because they have the technical knowledge, they have some medical understanding of the situation. So nurses, the medical students, they are also being requested by the government, or they have been asked by the government to become part of this corona fight against the corona pandemic. Okay, so sir, if there is not any sanction to prevent their violation, they are not enforceable. On what basis can the government impose? So again, parliament is free to make any law with regard to any of the provision. So parliament can always come up with a legislation, with a law, and they can define the punishment with regard to it. So that is a possibility. So that means the freedom has been given to the parliament to come up with any law with regard to it. It can come up, and then it can define the punishment with regard to violation of not protecting the environment or not respecting the national idols. Yeah, that is there. Yeah, would you like to comment? If if required, if you have to write long sentences, you can always comment. Yeah, would you like to speak out? Yeah, Sentuja, Janvi, anyone? I think both of you are right. They can not abiding by they can be punished for disrespecting and not abiding by the constitution. See, yes, that is also many times there is legislative vacuum. That's why for example, safety of women at the workplace. So this has been already the concern of this is already mentioned in the constitution. If you read the idols of constitution, that is already there. But there was also a lot of sexual harassment of women at the workplace. It was the Supreme Court under the Visakha guideline that we have read in the judiciary, how Supreme Court has issued certain guidelines that the women should be protected at the workplace, and then finally government has come up with the legislation in 2013. Okay, so with regard to that, bill has been passed. So parliament will have to act. Parliament will have to make those provision of the constitution workable, and it is through the law or through the executive order or through the administrative action that those provisions are made enforceable or implemented. That's why implementing the constitution itself. Now we are talking of implementing the constitution. That means implementing the provision of the constitution either directly or through the various subsequent laws. Okay, yeah. So anything else? Okay, so see, I think most of you are able to recall most of the fundamental duties. So we should be able to understand the essence, why it becomes important that we should respect all the why should we, so it is in the benefit of everyone, that if there is peace and harmony in the society, so everyone will be benefited, not just the those who are protecting or promoting peace and harmony or promoting brotherhood in the society. If the environment is protected, our next generation will be protected. We will also be protected from the harsh reaction of nature that we see in the form of various disasters that takes place, the climate change that is happening in the contemporary time. So that all these fundamental duties, that they are in the benefit of society and individual at large. So that means, for example, suppose there is protest in the country. Well, normally if you look at the various protests that happens in the country, many a times you see the protests becoming very violent. They are burning the buses, they are burning the public platform, they are destroying the public buildings. So again, are they performing fundamental duties? They are losing the ground. They are losing the moral ground of the even the right purpose for which they are protesting. So we have to ensure there is safeguard, there is protection to the public property. Okay, so we should also help in upholding, protecting the unity, integrity and of the India. We should also not create any kind of disharmony, or we should not be acting against India. For example, there are few individuals who might align with the some of the enemy countries, some of the anti-national forces, and then they try to create for example, some of the anti-national laws or citizen laws. Or why do we have the citizen law? Because that is there for exceptional circumstances. Means, for example, if an individual is passing certain strategic security information to the enemy country, so they are actually anti-national, they are trying to threaten the unity, integrity and security of the country. So that is not acceptable. Okay, so that's why we have citizen law, we have multiple actions which are visible. But many times, due to the political reasons, what we see, yes, Rohit, you are right. Prevention of insult to the National Honor Act, that has been passed by the Parliament, and that is used to to punish those individuals who are disrespecting the national idols or flags, national flags like that. Okay, so yes, with regard to the education, all of us should try to excel in our own field. That is also the fundamental duty. We should be trying to do our best in the field in which we are. So that is also then preserving our very rich culture. So such a nice society, such a heterogeneous composite culture. We have lot to see. Just look, don't do anything in life, just visit India. If you look at India, your life will be spent, still you will not be able to know the diversity and the beauty that exists in the country. Okay, so again, we have to preserve our rich culture that that we have in the country. Okay, then public property, with regard to the public, yes, equitable give person resources whenever, yes, that means giving service to the nation or rendering service whenever called upon. Means whenever we are called upon to render some services, we should be very happy to serve the society at large. We should not become very selfish and not for example, during Corona, some of the individual, they are now black marketing the various medicines. They are trying to escalate the prices of various essential items. So that is again immoral, unethical and unconstitutional. They are also violating the fundamental duties. Okay, so again, then safeguarding, then abjuring violence, that is, yes, we should not be indulged in violence and should not be trying to create damage to the public property, because they are our own property. Okay, and then ready to serve the society, very good, and a brotherhood and have a society, very good culture. Okay, defend the country when called upon. Very, yes. Now I think most of you are able to recall the important aspect that that we have tried to understand in the fundamental duties. So it is just a picture, we are trying to protect. So we have just summarized it in, through this chart. It contains almost all the provision. So I think most of you are well versed with the idea of fundamental duties, why it is important. They are also moral obligation, positive obligation of citizen. Just like we know, we want that a state should perform some good action, welfare activities, developmental function, or create harmony in the society, or ensure equitable distribution of resources. So we also have the responsibility and duties. Citizen got fundamental rights. We are now empowered. We are able to use the fundamental rights, but we also have duties. So in one of the movie, I think many of you might say this is Spider-Man. With the great powers comes the great responsibilities. That means the citizen are nowadays, what we see multiple mechanisms or empowerment of various sections of society, all the fundamental rights. We have seen how legislature, executive, and judiciary, they all are there for us. They are there to serve the citizen of this country. But there are problems. We must be able to reform the system. We should be able to make them in the favor of welfare of society, or in the in alignment with the developmental objective of the nation. Okay, so I think all of you should be able to recall or use all the various aspects of fundamental rights in the answer sheet, or in the essay you write, in the ethics paper you use. Okay, so it's basically a responsibility that is bestowed on the citizen. Okay, so we enjoy rights, and obviously if we are enjoying the rights, we must have certain duties. We should be ready to abide by the constitution, or promote harmony, safeguard property, that all of you have already discussed. Okay, so it has been included into the constitution through the 42nd amendment by the committee. That committee, what is the name of committee which was set up to recommend fundamental duties? Yeah, can you recall the name? What was the name? Yes, very good. Swarm Singh Committee report. It has suggested this idea of where we have taken from where we have taken the idea of fundamental duties. Yeah, can you recall from where, which constitution of the world we have taken the idea of? Very nice. Okay, good. All of you are able to recall. That's a good sign. Okay, so again, many of the fundamental rights, though we have taken this idea from USSR constitution, but still we see most of the fundamental duties, they are very much ingrained in the society. It becomes a kind of obvious points that yes, we should respect the nature, we should respect the preserve the culture, we should respect the idols, we should protect the environment. These are a general statement. These are moral obligations, social obligations, or obligation towards the environment. So at the time of independence, normally at that time, most of the leaders were very much conscious about their duties. It was not felt that all the fundamental duties should be incorporated, because it was it was assumed that citizen will be able to perform this kind of ethical, moral, or constitutional duties. So that was not thought of including at that point of time. But later, during emergency, or during under various government, government also become that we have lot of obligations, and citizens are free to do anything and everything. They are not performing their duties. So as a result, government was also conscious about the implementing these fundamental duties, or incorporating fundamental duties. Okay, on the basis of recommendation of Swan Singh committee, the various fundamental rights were fundamental duties were incorporated into the constitution through 42nd amendment. Okay, so many of the ideas that we have discussed, they were already part of Indian society or Indian culture. Okay, yeah, after emergency in 1976. Okay, so now let us look at see, Supreme Court also uses these fundamental duties whenever they come up any kind of judgment, any kind of verdicts. So you look at some of the judgment. For example, in the MC Mehta versus Union of India case, again that is 51G. So here also it becomes a duty of the central government to introduce compulsory teaching of lessons, at least for protection that means in the educational institution. Why this environment topics has also been incorporated into the school curriculum. So that was also on the basis of a judgment, MC Mehta versus Union of India. It was that is it is not just the responsibility or duty of the citizen, but the government also had certain duties towards the society. So though it is also mentioned in the DPSP, but in the suppose protecting the environment, safeguarding environment, so there are some overlapping areas. It is not completely watertight division between the citizens obligation or state obligation. So even some of the judgment, if you see, of the Supreme Court, they always quote these fundamental duties, fundamental rights, or DPSP while delivering a particular judgment. Okay, so for example, even we have now environment, which is one of the more very important aspect of prelims preparation, and I think all of you might be reading environment. Okay, so now that has also been incorporated into the school curriculum. Okay, then with regard to AIMS student union versus AIMS, again there was issue with regard to the fundamental duties. For example, while 51 in article, it has struck on 33% reservation in AIMS. Okay, so it was told that the fundamental rights and fundamental, that means the harmonious relationship that exists between the fundamental rights and DPSP. Okay, so similarly, in the case of AIMS union versus AIMS student union, that means the group of students, they have filed a case against the AIMS, against the institution itself. So what they are basically, they were looking for kind of reservation or benefit in the institution, but so it was announced that there is a need to have a balance between all the aspects, whether it is fundamental duties or fundamental or rights. Okay, so balance has to be established, the doctrine of harmonious relationship. Okay, so in which judgment doctrine of harmonious relationship was evolved? Can you name the judgment where we have discussed about doctrine of harmonious relationship? Yeah, can you recall? Doctrine of harmonious relationship, we have already covered. Yeah, can you recall in which judgment we had seen the doctrine of harmonious relationship? For the first time, it was evolved by the judiciary. Yeah, I think some of you might be able to know. Still, before Kolaknath, we have another judgment. Yeah, very nice. I think Subra is able to recall. Good, Subra is very close to the answer. It was Kerala Education Bill case, right? So again, in that case, this idea of doctrine of harmonious relations. Yes, very right, Janvi. So we have, doctrine of harmonious relations. Basically, Supreme Court, while delivering a judgment, they, take the help of all these, fundamental duties in the Constitution, and that becomes, very helpful while interpreting the various aspects. So similarly, we have recently, Justice Verma committee, they have also recommended few observations. They wanted to add certain points. Even for example, do you want that voting should be made compulsory in the country? How many of you are supportive of the idea that voting should be made compulsory? Yeah, do you think that voting, everyone should be made compulsory to vote, or they should be fined or punished if they do not vote? I think let us get your opinion now. Okay, so let us see how many of you think. Should it be made compulsory? Okay, I think most of you are agreeing to. Okay, very good. Okay, so again, so I think there is consensus in the class that we should go for, yes, so that everyone, my opinion matters. Yes, Savna is also trying to put forward the logic why it is, it becomes important to have, duty to vote for everyone. Okay, so even this Justice Verma committee, why do you think that voting should be made compulsory? Yeah, you can also put on your opinion in the chat box. Okay, so basically, recently Justice Verma committee, they have also put up this idea of duty to vote at election, because government is, we have adopted a parliamentary system of government. We have adopted representative democracy. So the government or the parliamentarians that we are selecting, they must be representative of the Indian society. They must be reflective of the idea, the major proportion of citizen. They must be reflective of opinion of citizen. Okay, so again that becomes very important. But the problem is there are a lot of practical difficulty. People also develop casual attitude towards voting. They do not, celebrate it as a holiday, not going to vote. So again, that it becomes very. See, it is also a responsibility among all the citizens that we should make the, we should go and participate in the voting process. Otherwise, we are left out. There is no use of this citizenship. So if you are not able to be part of this governance, you are not able to enjoy the the governance process, to have the say in the decision making process. So that becomes very crucial, that all of us are able to participate in the election process. We are able to take the decision. If it will be compulsory, then ideology will be different. Okay. Yeah. So but yes, of course, the voting, not voting to a party, for example, we have nota system, none of the above. Suppose you do not agree with any political party or any candidate, you can go and you can vote for nota. Okay. Yes, there are opinion with regard to, so a lot of political leaders have also suggested that can we make the voting compulsory, because for the military man, for the officers who are working in government, we already have the mechanism where they can also participate through the ballot box, ballot voting. Okay. Yes, nota is the best invention. Yes. So again, if the everyone start practicing or using this idea of nota, tomorrow it can become a criteria for right to reject. We have discussed in the earlier class, right to reject. So that is another option. If the people are demanding that we should also have the right to reject, that means rejecting all the candidates in the list. If more than 50% votes are against, if the nota is getting more than 50% of vote, so we can think in the future that if people are using this nota, so it will also put pressure on the political parties to put up good candidates, because that will also lead to the rejection of the candidates put up by the various political parties. Okay. So let us now read some of the points. If we have got to right to choose our layer, we should not lose that. And yes, very right. Kachi is very right. If we are getting opportunity, like if you go to the country like North Korea or China, so you will not be asked who should be elected, or which party should be formed, or which ideology should govern the country. There is only one ideology in the country. They, many countries there is dictatorship, military rule. So people fight for this democratic right, right to participate in choosing the government. Okay, so Kachi is rightly pointed out the importance of the participation in the electoral process. Though it is not the part of fundamental duty, but still we have the responsibility. All of us should participate in the this electoral process. Okay, and then Subra is talking, with compulsory voting, candidate will address the need of all the citizen, and it's duty of citizen to vote. Yes, very right. So I think there is greater nowadays. Society is also developing that consensus, because we have the various mechanisms where even if you are away from your home, then there are mechanisms through which you can participate. So again, the state will have to take a call. State government will have to build the consensus. All the political parties should come together, state government, central government, they should come together and ensure there is effective participation of citizen in the voting process. We can also start with some kind of fine, some kind of punishment to those who do not participate. So even if they are angry with the government, we let them go and vote for nota. Even if they are aggressive that I don't like any political parties, go and vote for nota, but you should participate. Yes, Kunal, very right. That means tomorrow we are going to have in the coming future, nobody has seen, if the demand for right to reject increases, if there is greater percentage of votes to the nota, then automatically it will automatically put the pressure on the political parties to put up good candidates. So that is one thing. And then we can also put pressure on the government to formulate a law, or we can go to the court and ask or file a petition in the court and seek the the rejection, right to rejection. If there are more than 50% of the voters who are voting against the name of candidates who are listed in the EVM machine. So that is the possibility. Only if we are able to participate in the election, only if the nota, if there are genuine concerns, if the people are able to vote in the nota, then only these reforms will take place. So because we are living in a democratic setup, it is ultimately the citizen will have to take all these actions, and then the consecutive changes will be possible. Okay. Yeah, it will be compulsory. Government will be, yes, very, I think all of you are able to will. And suppose you become part of the government tomorrow, definitely you suggest to the government that make it compulsory. Okay. And we should also have right to reject. Okay. So so they have also suggested that we should have greater awareness of the about the fundamental duties toward the citizen, which it should also become part of our right, that we should also pay tax. That should also become part of fundamental duties. Otherwise what happens, people are trying to bypass the legal system, bypass the and they are engaged in the tax avoidance. So that should also be made part of the fundamental duty. Okay, so for example, we also see how the paying tax, direct tax, can also ensure accountability in the system. For example, if you pay tax to the local bodies, so you can easily make them accountable. Economic survey has also talked about it. If the people are directly paying the tax, so they can also help in making the government accountable for the action. Okay. Yes, sir. Sir, are there any provision to vote for citizen? Yes, our NRIs, they have the mechanisms. They can go to the consulate and vote and participate in the voting, and they can also have this, yes, proxy voting also. So there are mechanisms. Obviously, we should try to bring the more mechanisms, if to, so that, for example, migrant workers, those who are residing in different states, so there should also be mechanisms. Though currently we get the holiday where citizens are expected to go to their place, go to their home, and then vote. Normally that is there. Yes, Sindhuja, can you talk about voting rights of those who are living abroad?
So, Professor, those who are living abroad, they have to initially, prior to the election, they have to do the PVA, which is the postal vote application. So after
Okay.
that, they can cast their vote through a post.
Very right. That means yes, they can. So you have one experience. Sindhuja is aware of all the mechanism, the procedure. Also, she is also aware of it. Very good, Sindhuja. Thank you for informing the class. Yes, like the army, army and the various officers who are also on the public duty, they also use this ballot box. This, yeah, they also vote and then they participate. That there are already mechanisms. There are still some challenges that we have to resolve. Okay, and then let us now solve a few questions with regard to fundamental duties. So, in the context of India, which of the following is correct relationship between the rights and duties? We have started with the idea of rights and duties. So, can we what is the correct explanation of relationship between rights and duties? So, very straightforward. You can also try to make the rights, and all of you should attempt. This is very straightforward question and very basic question. Okay, so there should not be any confusion. Very right. Okay, I think all of you are able to get it correct. Thank you so much. So rights are correlated with the duties. And for example, the second option, their rights are personal and independent of society. That is not possible. Not duty important. That is again not possible. That is both fundamental rights and duties both are equally important. Okay. Then stability, that both duties and rights both are important. Otherwise, what the rights of the citizen are not respected. For example, in the military or totalitarian country or in the dictatorial country, what we have, the rights of the citizen are not respected. So what happens? There is instability. People start protesting against the government. So again, those important aspect, fundamental duties, fundamental rights, and then DPSP. Though duties and rights both are equally important. So first option is correct. So let us solve another one. Which of the following statement is or are true of the fundamental duties of Indian citizen? This is very tricky question. You have to be very careful while reading the statement or choosing the option. You have to be very careful. Read the question very carefully. Okay. Okay, others should also put down the points. I think some of you are able to get it correct. You have the hints in front of you. So all of you should try to read the statement very carefully. Okay, so I think some of you have got it correctly. That means there is no legislative process. It has not been provided to enforce the duty. So there are some no law which has been made to enforce all the fundamental duties that we have listed in the fundamental duties, and they are not similar to the legal duties. Legal duties are different. They are through the law that is made by the parliament. So they are not correlative to the legal duties. So we have the correct option, that is D. Very good. Some of you are able to get it correct. So these are the tricks that UPSC. This is UPSC question. The UPSC always try to play some trick where they will they will be just rotating around all the aspect that we are discussing. So they will try to put some words and in a such a way that you are getting confused. Okay, very good. So we are done with the all the three aspects of fundamental rights, DPSP, and the duties. So is there any doubt, anything you want to discuss again? On the Friday we are going to have a test, MCQ test, with regard to all the three topics. So anything you want to discuss before we proceed? So at what time do you have in the next class? What is the timing of your next class? Okay, 3:45. 3:30 or oh, that means we have very less time. I think that's why this timing has been shifted at 3:20 at 2:20. Okay, timings have changed. Okay, so no problem. I think we have less time, but we can take up some of the doubts. If you have any doubt, any confusion, anything you want to ask, we have very less time, but still you can ask anything you want to ask regarding test, regarding the topics, anything you want me to discuss again. So are you all able to understand all the three aspects of constitution: fundamental rights, fundamental duties, and DPSP? Is it clear to everyone? Can we be confident of you? Yes. Okay. Regarding the mains questions, by the weekend, by the Saturday or Sunday, you'll get a mains question also. Mains question on the various topics that we have covered. Okay. So will it be fine? As discussed, mains questions will share some of the mains questions which you can also practice, and you can also mail me after writing it. Okay, on the weekends after the MCQ test. So anything else? Okay, you have another class, so I think we have to conclude. Okay. So thank you everyone. Sorry for the delay today, and we'll try to cover up it tomorrow. Okay, we'll try to be a bit early on the time. Okay. Yeah, thank you everyone. Please collect your doubt, mail me the doubts, and I'm looking for your doubts. We're still waiting for doubts that you would be would want to ask or you want to discuss. And feel free, we are living in a democratic setup. We also have a very democratic class. Okay. Yeah, thank you everyone. So let us meet tomorrow. Try to mail me the doubts you have regarding any topic that we have covered. Okay. Tomorrow we'll see next other topics with regard to Indian federalism. Okay. Yeah, thank you everyone. Anything? Supriya want to say anything? Also, it will be regarding the federalism, regarding the center-state relation in between the inter-state relations, all those aspects which are related to the government or system of government. Okay, so we'll discuss it tomorrow. We'll tell you in detail. Okay. Yeah, thank you everyone.